this meeting. My name is Jamie Anderson. My colleagues Ben and Alex are on site with a customer today, so I'm excited to be your host for today's webinar. And before we get started, here's our safe harbor statement. Please take a moment to read through it. I'll just leave this here and I'll just see a few more names here in the chat. Of course, Jean-Pierre from Brussels, thank you so much for joining again. We have Jeff from Memphis, welcome. All right, so here's today's agenda. We have some announcements and the Oracle Analytics product roadmap to share, and then we have some great demos for you today. We'll first see some demos from our Data Visualization Challenge winners. Then you'll get to see some visualization and experience enhancements and data enhancements from our most recent May update of OAC. Finally, we want to show off the latest and greatest in manufacturing analytics that is available with Fusion Data Intelligence platform through SCM Analytics. So let's go over some announcements. First, it's already that time of year again. Registration is open for Cloud World 2024 in Las Vegas. The agenda is currently in the works, but there will be many opportunities to connect, learn, and hear from speakers, including Oracle product managers, customers, and consultants. There's about a month left to register for early rates, so if you plan on attending, go ahead and lock those in. Next, we strongly encourage you to join the Oracle Analytics community. You can submit and vote on ideas in the Idea Lab, participate in product forums, read blogs, learn about upcoming events, review the latest product roadmaps, access live training, join user groups, and more. I'll post a link for you in the chat box shortly to access this online community. Finally, if you're not aware, with every update of OAC, we publish a new features playlist on our Oracle Analytics YouTube page. May's new feature playlist is available now. This is a great way to get up to speed on the latest features. Great, so let's now review our product roadmaps. I'm going to pass it to Avinash and we'll go from there. And while he's reviewing that roadmap, I will post those links in the chat. So Avinash, take it from here.
Thank you, Jim. Excuse me. So we continue to execute on our roadmap. And I just want to focus on the upcoming features. Some of the features you will see live in action. I'll do a couple of them, and Lewis will demonstrate a few of the features on the dataset side. On the experience features, the important one to highlight is personalization. We will soon be launching or shipping the multiple state of a workbook personalization, which is an end user artifact. And users will be able to grab the URL and share the URL that will have the persistent filter values in them. On the calculations, MyCalc side, we are working on foldering structure for organizing calculations within a workbook. And there's also a long pending pain point when you reference calc within calc. We kind of copy the entire expression, which makes it hard from a readability and usability perspective. And we're changing that to be referenced by name. So whenever you nest calcs within calcs, it makes it a lot easier to manage your nested calcs within the workbook. Upcoming release in July, you will see a new launch option set for data actions that will allow the author to launch data actions in a pop-up dialog or in a new tab or in the same tab. So those are a few options that the author can define for specific data actions in the workbook. And we also are shipping responsive layout with May 2024. It's a feature that I'll demo shortly. And a few of the critical features on experience is custom themes and layouts. Themes are essentially instance-wide color series and formatting options for your visualization formats that can be, a shared object available for all workbook authors to be used as a theme for your workbook. Navigation controls are things like buttons, menus, navigation lists, the non-analytical content that you can add to the workbook and enhance the experience of the whole navigation experience for your end users. On the dataset side, we are shipping the OCI object support. It's something that Lewis will cover. And we're also working on dataset diagram improvements, new connectors that is reflected on the screen as things in progress right now. incremental data refresh for data sets, and also AutoML model qualities is one of the features that we also shipped in May 2024. On the augmented side, AI ML side, our Oracle Analytics GenAI Copilot, which is now called Assistant, is in a limited availability program. We continue to work with our close set of customers to sort of improve the feature experience, address bugs, and towards the end of the year is when it will be available generally for the larger customer base. Contextual Insight is a new experience for consumer users that will allow a user on a workbook or dashboard to select a mark and ask the product to generate a set of insights. It's completely driven off of AI/ML infrastructure behind the scenes, similar to Auto Insights, but this is very specifically for the consumer users. And it will support for data sets and in subject areas in the subsequent releases. So a quick update on the upcoming features. I'll not go to the future ones due to the time constraints, so I'll pass it back to you, Jamie.
Perfect, thank you. All right. So next, I will go over the Fusion Data Intelligence Roadmap. So as a reminder, Fusion Data Intelligence is the next generation of Oracle Fusion Analytics Warehouse built for Oracle Fusion Cloud applications, which brings together business data, ready-to-use analytics, pre-built AI, and machine learning models to deliver deeper insights and accelerate the decision-making process into actionable results. So let's look at Fusion ERP Analytics, that pillar there. So within that, you can look forward to a machine learning model related to detecting anomalies in employee expenses. We also have some additional project modules like project labor schedules and project labor distribution costs. For Fusion HCM Analytics, we're working on peer insights, automated inferred skills, machine learning model for employee flight prediction. Let's see what else we have. For Fusion SCM Analytics, we're developing sourcing analytics to measure the efficiency of the sourcing process, and also analyses for the manufacturing asset lifecycle and quality management. For Fusion CX Analytics, you can expect revenue forecasting, CX Unity Analytics, and pricing optimization. And finally, across the entire Fusion Data Intelligence platform, you can look forward to access to OTBI subject areas, multiple languages per instance, and a paid disaster recovery option. With that, let's move forward here. And what do we have next? All right, so let's see some demos for Oracle Analytics Data Visualization Challenge. So this year, internally, we asked our employees to participate in an internal data visualization challenge, and we had many employees participate. This is actually something that we'd like to release publicly, maybe this upcoming year, to have a public visualization challenge. So we'll be working on that, and you can hear more about that in future OA Lives. But for now, I have a couple of the winners here today to showcase their great work and give you inspiration for what is possible to achieve within Oracle Analytics. So first, we have Rebecca Makis. Show us your workbook, Rebecca.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to go over my dashboard. Let me put it up here. So first off, are you seeing it?
Yes, we are. It looks great.
Okay, great. So started with the question, interested in the relationship, if there was one, between wildfires and drought. So I started by bringing in some publicly available data about wildland fire incidents, and then added in the drought information, and also brought in some census data to be able to look at the size of states, acreage of states. So the first thing I was curious about was, are wildfires increasing? So I use this visual to show the growth over time of the count of reported wildfires. And in doing that, I saw that California had a particularly large growth in the count of reported wildfires. So I popped that out. I was also curious about where the cost has been the highest. So I have mapped that out here, just showing the top 25. You can see the top 21 most expensive fires since 2014 are all on the West Coast, top 21 of the 25. And then I was looking at the Drought Severity and Coverage Index, which gives you sort of a way to identify where drought has been the highest. And I used the map viz to sort of show where it's been the highest since 2014, which you can see the most drought has been in California. I also then was curious of the seasonal cadence of the fires. So I used the same visual, but mapped it by season instead of by year. And again, sort of popped out California and saw that July is where we see the most reported wildfires. Then I was kind of curious to look back over each year and sort of get a snapshot of how many fires were there, how many acres were burned, what was the cost, and how many personnel were involved. So I used this visual to be able to look at it year over year. And then we'll see if this runs. And then you can sort of play it back each of the years. Pause that. Down here, I have what the most expensive fire for that year was, and I'm using a functionality called a data action here to be able to link out. I'm just doing a Google search, and it's bringing me back links to images about that particular fire. And each year, it's telling me what the fire was, what month it was in the year, what state, the cost, and then the link to the image. Next, I was interested in comparing one thing that the Drought Severity and Coverage Index will give you is you're able to get how many weeks in a drought they were in the state. And I wanted to compare that against a couple of different things. So I used a parameter here to swap out what's in the y-axis value. So I could compare each of those against weeks in drought. So here I have count of fires. And if I zoom that out, I can see the trend line. And I also used the built-in outlier function to highlight what are outliers. So here the things that are identified as outliers are in gray and not outliers are in orange. And then I can look at different things, like say I want to look at cost of fire against weeks in drought in the scatter plot. And it'll swap out what it's putting on this axis. I can zoom in and look at that. And I can also look at acreage burned. So as there were more weeks in drought, did the acreage burned go up? Zoom out and look at that. The other thing that I was looking at is I used the predictive tool to get a prediction of what the cost per acre would be over the coming year. And that's highlighted here in gray. It's saying each month what the predicted cost per acre will be. Yeah, so ultimately I was just really curious about what I could explore using these different data sets and what the tool itself could allow me to look at. And it was really interesting what I discovered and what I was able to show.
That's awesome, Rebecca. May I say that that dashboard is on fire? Pun definitely intended, right? We got some great feedback in the chat here, so definitely check that out. And a quick question that I see in the chat, although please put them in the Q&A if you can. This competition was an internal Oracle competition. We are working on one for the general public. So just be on the lookout for an announcement via OA Live, future ones, and I'm sure we'll publicize it via LinkedIn or something like that as well once we get the specifics worked out. So next, let me share my screen again. Just give me 1 second here. All right. So next we have Gautam Pisharam, and he's going to show his workbook. So take it away.
Thanks, Jeannie. Good day, everyone. So very happy to be presenting today as part of the session. My theme was based on one of the most interesting technologies that we have today called graph analytics. So just before sharing my screen, I would like to set a brief context on the overall theme on the canvas. I'm in fact excited to share with everyone the magical, fascinating world of graph analytics through Oracle Analytics. So what exactly is graph analytics? Think of it as a way to visually tell the story, to discover surprising connections within the data, and reveal interesting patterns that we would rather not miss. So having said that, let me now share my screen. Like, I hope it's shared now. So it's like a night sky. It's pitch dark, but illuminated by the fascinating world of, let's say, stars, planets, galaxies, and constellations. And just like a night sky illuminated by the different entities, uh, we also have different interesting connections that are interconnected between the different elements. There is a fascinating world of interconnected data that we can explore through the night sky. We can talk about influences. So just to quote an example, if we look at planet Jupiter, it protects the planet Earth from the wild asteroids or the comets, and it acts as a positive influence. But if you talk about a black hole, it would have an overall negative impact on the whole ecosystem, and that can be deemed as a negative influence as well. Now, what's the result of finding insights like this? It prevents something bad from happening. So if we uncover very interesting insights, which are very difficult to uncover, it really prevents something bad from happening. And we can also try to identify what can positively influence certain things, what can negatively influence certain things. And I was obviously influenced or inspired by the night sky and the whole concept of constellations in designing this canvas. But the use case that I currently have is not really based on the universe. It's yet another fascinating world of graph analytics into the world of financial transactions within the banking industry. So we talk about people, different types of people. We talk about bank accounts, different types of bank accounts. We talk about cards, different types of cards, and how they can influence the people to initiate interesting transactions in the whole banking world, and how that can have a positive influence or a negative influence. And we can use technologies like graph analytics in identifying these intrinsic patterns within the banking financial transaction world. And potentially, if we uncover negative influencers, we can really prevent something bad from happening. I'll also illustrate the story using the canvas. So I've used various network-based visualizations as well as network-based algorithms that we can execute through Oracle Analytics in uncovering the various insights. I've used a circular network visualization to basically illustrate the fascinating world of banking transaction between different banking accounts. And like we can see on the screen, it can really help you uncover very minute details, who stands out from a pool of banking transactions. If I focus on this specific set of visualizations, on the left, we are talking about banking accounts or customers who has multiple banking accounts. And on the right, we are talking about a single individual who holds an account 90 and an account 10, but we could uncover an interesting pattern in which the same user has used different set of banking IDs to transact between a single hop transaction, and they've used a very specific ID to also transact between a set of transactions. Now, this could be suspicious in nature. It could not be suspicious in nature based on the different banking algorithms that we have. If I focus on this specific visualization, we are more talking about how people are trying to transfer the money in between. So whether it's a single hop, whether it's a dual hop. So this specific ID 25 transferring the money to 23, and then it comes back as well. And we are then talking about hops, like 3 hops or 3 cyclic transactions. People will be transferring money in different transaction cycles as well. We are talking about 4 hops, or let's say 18 to 98. It goes to 3. It again comes back through 87. So it could be a 4 hop as well. Now, I was talking about the influencer part, right? On the planet Jupiter or the black hole. Now, if you try to equate the same concept into the world of banking transactions, I can probably talk through a very simple example. If you talk about positive influencers, take a community of people that the banking algorithm has identified. They might be doing various shopping experience through various commercial sites. And when the banking algorithms identify a pool of customers who have done a very similar transactions, they could be offered many product recommendations. It could be offers through the credit cards. It could even be a good offer through the personal loans. And on a good, happy world, it works in favor of everyone. Everyone is very happy. But now think of people who could simulate the same transaction cycles and try to earn the trust of the banking scores, and they could leverage these credit offers, they could leverage these personal loans, and just could vanish one day, which is like a very big loss for the banking industry. And this is what I was highlighting. If you're able to identify the negative influencers in the banking system, you could potentially stop something bad from happening. And this can be uncovered through the different machine learning algorithms that we have, which can be executed through the graph analytics. Now, this talks about the negative influencer again, where we have identified a very specific influencer, how they have been able to influence other people in participating in a community of transactions or a pool of transactions. And because of that, everyone is now eligible for taking offers like personal loans or credit card, and they could just leverage it and they could just vanish away, which is again a big loss to the banking industry. So using these algorithms, you uncover insights like negative influencers, you flag off the suspicious list of transactions, and you're basically identifying the risk. And if you identify it well before time, you could potentially stop them from vanishing as well. Again, we could execute algorithms like shortest path. So from a pool of transactions, you could identify whether the banking ID 10 could influence banking ID 53 through different users who has the IDs 74 and 34. So from a pool of transactions, you could also identify the different shortest path in influencing other people in committing financial fraud as well. And then you have like built-in algorithms like outliers and non-outliers, which could identify the various financial transactions, which could be suspicious in nature as well. And how we have executed this from a pool of transactions, Oracle Analytics is not just a visualization platform. It helps you execute this graph analytics algorithms through the data flow. So here I've used a subgraph. I've used the page ranking algorithm to uncover the influencers. We have the shortest path. So shortest path, if I have to scroll down, this is where we had the shortest path, which was executed and found the results using one of these algorithms. We have the cluster-based algorithms, and we could really leverage all these built-in machine learning functionality to uncover these interesting patterns, which could come in very handy for a banking industry. So Jamie, this was the canvas.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for showing us also within the actual tool itself for creating the algorithms. So if you guys want to see more of kind of the art of the possible, so to speak, of what you can do with Oracle Analytics, I'm going to put a link in the chat, and you can access our public site where you can go in and view visualizations of workbooks within our actual platform. So with that, give me 1 second here to share my screen again. All right, so next we're going to see a demo of the visualization and experience enhancements in the latest release of OAC, so our May release. So with that, I'll pass it back to Avinash.
Thanks, Jamie. Let me share my screen. Jamie, can you see my screen?
All good. It's a little small, but I think if you maximize, you'll be good.
That's a screenshot. So
okay, good.
Yeah,
all right, go for it.
I don't have a slide, but I use the canvas as a slide.
Okay.
So for May, on the experience and visualization features, we have 4 features to highlight. There's new filter styles, as you can see on my screenshot here, checkboxes and radio buttons or new filter styles that you can apply to your dashboard filters. I'll do a demo of this feature. The big one is the responsive editor experience. It's sort of an advanced feature. Essentially, we'll talk through the demo. Responsiveness is basically defining how your canvas and the content in the canvas would realign and reorder based on the screen size that you're opening the workbook on, right? And you as an author can start to design on a larger screen size or a smaller screen size, but you never know how the content is going to be displayed on, for your workbook on different screen sizes. So responsive editor is sort of a editor experience within Visualize that allows the author to define these breakpoints, and each breakpoint is sort of a screen size resolution. And for each of the screen size of the breakpoint, you can now sort of reorder or realign the layout of the content in the canvas. So I'll walk through the demo. And we also expanded the parameterization of the exclude options for the filters on, on the workbooks, on the workbook scope, filters, dashboard filters, or visualization filters. If you have an exclude mode turned on, that can be now bound to a parameter. That way, right, you can sort of completely mimic the dashboard pinning functionality. You can mimic the filter pinning functionality using dashboard filters. And then the last one is personalization. It's a minor update that we made based on feedback from customers. Auto persisting of filters was a feature that went GA with January of this year. And based on customers' feedback, we've added an instance level toggle that allows the administrator to turn off personalization for the entire instance. So let's start with the responsive editor experience demo. So in this workbook, I've got like 4 different canvases. So I'm going to move to the no breakpoint canvas, and I'm going to start to resize my browser. And as I resize, you can notice that the visualizations also start to resize, ideally shrink, based on the real estate that's available, right? And they shrink relative to the available real estate that's available for them, right? At some point, some of these visualization becomes harder to read and interact with, like the scatter and this heat map. And also the filter panel is not like placed optimally, right? I'll have to scroll across to see the entire filter name and things like that, right? Now let me resize it back. Let's go to the with breakpoint canvas. And in this canvas, and notice that as I start to resize, at certain screen size resolutions, the top tile section changes from a single 4-column layout to a 2x2 matrix sort of a style layout. And then the visualizations, the bar on the area is still on a single column, but then the scatter and the heat map is now stacked. And as I continue to resize, notice that the filter bar on the left now moves to the top. And further resizing makes all of the visualizations, in a more stacked layout, right? Just like you would browse this workbook on a mobile endpoint, right? And this makes it easier for the consumers for opening the workbook on smaller screen size to completely see the details of the visualization and also interact with all of the filter values that's exposed, right? So this is essentially the responsive behavior that the author has designed using a feature called responsive editor. So I'm going to go into the authoring mode, and we'll switch back to the no breakpoint canvas, and we'll set some breakpoints and sort of redo the canvas layout. So on the footer, we have added a new icon. When you hover over it, basically provides the feature name, responsive canvas editor. Let's turn it on. When you turn it on, this icon turns green. And then there's a slider that appears on the top of the canvas. And you can also see that there are breakpoints that are already added, and these breakpoints are recommended by the product based on other breakpoints that's available in other canvases in the same workbook, right? So you could start by moving your slider to the recommended breakpoints and start to then redesign the layout of the content. Let's just say that I want to add a breakpoint at 900 pixels. I'm going to right click and click add breakpoint. And this is going to show me a little dialog where I can enter my pixel size. So I'm going to say 900. This 900 pixel size screen size, right? I've added a breakpoint, and what I'm going to do is at this breakpoint, I want to move my filter bar to the top and make it more horizontal. And I'll also change my layout of my tiles to a 2x2 matrix, if you like, right? Let's do this. I'll bring the area to the bottom, right? Let's do one more breakpoint. I'm going to make it probably to a 400 pixel and a smaller screen size. I'll add another breakpoint. And in this breakpoint, I probably want to sort of do a little bit of redesign of my visualizations here, change the order of the visualizations to be stacked. That way, I can scroll and see all of the details in the visualization. And let's just say that in this breakpoint, I want to add another visualization that shows me ship mode and the discount offered by these different ship modes, right? So let's go to the bottom of the screen. Let's go to the bottom of the screen and then bring ship mode and discount. This is going to render a bar chart, I assume. And this is now a new visualization has been added to this 400 pixel screen size resolution, right? Now, the important thing to note with this editor experience is that any visualizations that you add or remove for a specific breakpoints is not automatically done for other breakpoints. So let's slide back to the 900 pixel size and notice that in this screen size, the ship mode visualization is not automatically available, right? So the author has to explicitly say, right-click on the breakpoint and hit on Manage Breakpoint, which pops up a dialog that tells the author the visualizations that are shown or hidden on this particular screen size. You can see that the ship mode and discount data is not there. I'm going to add it. Click OK. And I'll go back to my default screen size and also do the same thing. So I'll do Manage Breakpoint, bring in the ship mode. Let's do a save. And when you go to the consumer view and start to sort of resize your screen like I did earlier, and based on the 900 pixel and the 400 pixel size, you would start to see your visualizations getting re-rendered based on the canvas layout that you did. This is a 900, I believe, and then at 400, it's completely stacked. Maybe I should go a little bit further, but my mouse is not allowing me to do that, but you kind of get the idea, right? So that's the responsive editor. There's a few other details and properties that we've added, so feel free to review my video and also the documentation. The next feature I will shift is to the new filter styles. And these new filter styles are available on dashboard filters, and you can see that on the left, some of the filter styles are exposed as radio buttons. So let's again go into edit mode. I'll go to the filter style canvas and we'll go to the property panel for this dashboard filters and maybe expand on ship mode and change the filter type from default list box to inline list. That's the new filter style. And by default, this is going to show me a checkbox, or maybe not. It's going to show me the default radio button, but you can make this a checkbox by turning on the multi-select property to on. So this provides me a good checkbox multi-select style. The other properties for this filter style is exactly the same as you would have for the list box and sliders. The only new functionality that we have added, or only new property that we have added for the inline list is the visible values. You can see that for ship mode, the visible values by default is set to fit. I can force it to say, show me the top 5 values, right? And based on the real estate available, the product will display the top 5. In this case, because consumer is selected, right? It's only showing me delivery truck and regular as is available ship modes. I'm going to change consumer mode to multi-select, just the purpose of demo, and I'll check all of the consumer modes. Consumer segments, and that way it will hopefully bring up the ship modes on top of the screen. One thing to note is on the city filter, notice that there's a warning that displays that only the first 50 values are shown. So inline list filters are optimized to display the it's optimized to work with a minimal set of filter values, right? So we have a max of 50 values that can be displayed on the radio button or checkbox style filters. And our recommendation is that if you need to use a filter style that has more than 50 values, then go for a list or list box style. The other features, the other properties that we've added is parameter binding. Parameter binding for inclusion and exclusion list. So both of the selection list and also the exclude list can now be parameterized. So that way, you know, if you want to mimic the pinning functionality that you have in the top workbook filters, you can now do that by binding both the inclusion, which is a selection list, and also the exclusion list of a filter style in dashboard filters. So that's the two features I wanted to demo. The other two are minor features. One of them is personalization instance level toggle, which is available as a administrator setting. If you search for personalization in the console, right, you will see a setting called enable personalization, which by default is turned on for the instance. And then the other feature that we wanted to go over is the parameter binding to the exclusion list. So let me quickly change this to list box style. And when you open it up, in our prior version, let me do list. So in our prior versions of the product or prior release of the product, you can bind parameters to the selection list. Now you can do that for the exclusion list as well. So it's basically expanding the concept of parameterization to different parts of the product experience. Okay, that's all for my demo. I'll stop sharing now and pass it on to the next presenter.
Great, thanks Avinash. All right, so next we're going to see a demo of dataset enhancements in the latest release of OAC. Take it away.
Thank you, Avinash. Lots of good stuff there. So I'm going to go through three new capabilities that are coming in the May release. One is metadata recommendations wizard. The other is ability to add filters to file-based dataset tables that we just recently added. And then the third one is a long-awaited support for object store files to create datasets. So real quick summary of each is we have now the ability to leverage the results of the semantic profiling and the deep introspection that's done on each of the columns as we ingest data to now provide, besides data transfer recommendations, we're now starting to provide metadata improvement recommendations. And one of the ones that comes up all the time is, especially with files that don't have a lot of metadata, a lot of the number columns containing numbers would automatically get set to measure, and we'd have to go and sort of review all of the entire columns and manually fix them. So now we're going to do that for you. As we introspect, we'll look at those columns and through the semantic profiling detect if they're keys or foreign keys or maybe long lats or zip codes or whatever they are, and then provide these recommendations, which with a single click, we're able to then repair the metadata for you and set them to attributes and not have them show up as measures when consumers are consuming the data set. The other is sort of a gap that we had with filter with file-based dataset tables, where you could not apply a filter. You'd be able to do that with external tables, but we couldn't do it with files. And for the May update, we will be supporting the ability to create the filters on the file. So the way this works is we will still ingest the entire file. So we'll upload the entire file, and then you can apply a filter, and that filter will be we'll create a subset of the data which then gets joined with the rest of the tables in the data set, and that's what the users will see. But then you can always come back, change the filter, and because we still have the entire corpus of the original file, you'll be able to then change the filters. It's not a permanent filter, if that makes sense. And the last one is OCI object store support for file for dataset creation. It leverages your current OCI resource connection that you're using to register functions and models from ADW. and so if you already have one of those connections, it'll start working for you. Just this connection will start showing up in the create dataset flow. We spend a lot of time providing a very robust and rich navigation, and that I'll demo that in a minute. But it's going to default to your uh, to your home region, and then you'll be able to change the region if you need to. But you'll be able to search compartments and search buckets, and then search objects with a robust search capabilities. And we will support the regular files that we support for the local file system, which is Excel, CSV, TSV, and delimited files, and you'll be able to set the delimiters, etc. So I'll go to the demo, and I have this table here in my dataset editor that I pulled in. And the first thing I'll demo is, let's say that we wanted to filter for the consumers, the segments, and we can go then to edit definition. And even though this is a file-based dataset table, you'll see that you start seeing this this filter button here, where you can then define the filters for the dataset. So we'll wait. It's one of my boxes getting stuck here. So we can go into customer segment and select a couple of the segments that I want to filter to. And we'll say for this particular data set, I just want small business and corporate. You can preview that filter to make sure it's doing what you want it to do. And if it looks good, then when we click OK, the other thing we do is we will reprofile the data with the filter, just in case any of the semantics have changed, and obviously the shape and bars and distribution will change. And notice that we now have just corporate and small business as the resulting segments, and all of these other metrics are based on this filter data, and that's the only thing that will be able to be consumed in the downstream consumer. The second feature we talked about is we now have this little wizard's wand here on the toolbar. If you click it, if it's enabled, it'll be little orange. If there aren't any recommendations, it'll be just gray. But if it's orange, that means there's something that we're trying to alert you to, and saying that you could do this manually now, which is like saying, oh, order line ID is not a measure. But the system actually does a complete introspection of the data set for you and lists all of the potential IDs, or long lats or not measures that and quantity ordered is maybe a measure, maybe not. So we say, well, I'll disagree with this one, I'll review the list, and with a single apply, then the system will change all of these measures that their IDs or foreign keys or whatever. It'll change them automatically for you to attribute, and it will keep track of that. So if you change your mind on a particular one, you can always get rid of that. Okay, so that's kind of leveraging the introspection we do on the data. And then lastly, we'll bring in a file. So when you create an OCI resource connection, it'll show up now in your create dataset flow. And here's my OCI connection. And when I click it, we bring up the compartment bucket object navigation dialog. It'll default to your home region. You can manually sort of go through the compartments and pick one, or we provided you with a pretty robust search capability. We'll click on PM platform here, and then we'll list all the buckets under the, and this could be pretty granular. So we have provided, again, a way to filter and search for those. And then we'll click on this bucket, and then we'll show all the objects that are in the bucket. And then again, if I'm looking for a particular folder or object, I can click that, it finds my folder. And if I open it, I can select the data set that I want or the file that I want to create a data set table with. And then the rest of the flow is very similar to your local file storage. We will provide you with a preview of the data. You can change the name if you like, or select a different sheet, and then we'll click OK, and it'll just be imported in. It'll be profiled, and then the rest is very similar to the same flow. And notice that on the left hand side it says, you know, it comes from the OCI connection. The service related to that OCI connection is object store, and underneath it is the file that we brought in. And if you'd like to select more files from that same connection, then you just click on here, and we'll bring in the dialog again. So very cool. And it does then provide a way to have a centralized place for these files, and reloading and refreshing the data becomes a little easier. And we'll, you know, this is kind of just the beginning. As you guys know, it'll add a lot of capabilities around being able to doing incremental reloads and so forth in the future. So that is all I have. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you so much. And I think there are some Q&As or Q's in the Q&A box. If you could add some A's to that, if possible, that'd be great. Let me share my screen here for a second. Thank you so much. Next, we are going to show off the latest and greatest in manufacturing analytics that is available on our Fusion Data Intelligence platform. And again, just a brief reminder, so the Fusion Data Intelligence platform uses data from our Fusion applications. So right now, we're going to see manufacturing analytics based off of Fusion SCM application, which is within our Fusion SCM analytics offering. So with that, I'll pass it to you, Karthik. Go ahead, take it away.
Thank you, Jamie. Hello, good day to everyone. And I will briefly talk about what we have in Fusion Data Intelligence and as part of that, and I will be talking about manufacturing analytics. So manufacturing analytics is one of the key, analytics for SCM analytics, and we have just launched manufacturing analytics a couple of releases ago, and essentially manufacturing analytics is going to be used for optimizing the production plan and can also enhance the production output. It gives a good timely insight into the work order performance. We can leverage the ready-to-use KPIs. We can identify the patterns and bottlenecks across manufacturing stages. And we can also be able to do anomaly detection in product quality. We can identify the patterns in the scrap, rejected and cancelled or reworked items. We will be able to do the reasonings for the various wastages and take corrective action. And also, finally, the most key value add is it can see, or we can see the production impact across the plant to produce processes, where we can create a connected ecosystem across the entire production process. And also, since we are integrating Oracle Application Cloud, and we can have other data sources connected to see what are the factors which is impacting your bottom line. Now, with this said, I can quickly show a quick demo. But before I dive into the demo, I just wanted to call out what is available right now. We have 4 detailed subject areas in manufacturing, which are the work orders, material, resources, and operation transactions. We have good coverage in terms of industry standard metrics. We are around 66 odd metrics. It gives timely insights into the work order performance. We do support all the manufacturing flows: discrete, process, mixed mode, contract, OSP, and direct procurement. And after this, I will quickly show a quick demo and we can go to the roadmap after that. Okay. Now, this is our pre-built analytics, pre-built analysis is what we call for manufacturing. And this is an overview dashboard, which basically can give based on various time. Like you can see for a particular quarter, you can see for a particular year or past 2 months. And when we change the time parameter itself, you can see the granularity or the spread of the work order trend has changed to weeks. So this can help like to review your immediate uh, uh, work order trends, like how many you have completed. So here, of course, we have a huge backlog, which is a area of a concern. And we also see on time and perfect work orders are uh, almost zero. So that is also a concern. So this gives a overview to a manufacturing supervisor or a plant engineer or a plant supervisor to see what corrective actions he or she should take. And we can also see by week or by a month what is the rework and the scrap which has been happening. So here we do see 3% of scrap, which is actually very high, and there is a lot like 2% of rework, which is also very high. We also can see the production attainment for the past 2 months, which can be sliced by various categories, and it can give us an indication how much are we able to achieve by category of items. Now, this overview we can also review by work area, work center, and a category also. And we have made this organization mandatory. You can select multiple. However, it is mandatory that you have to select one or two or more organization. You cannot see for all the organization of your enterprise. Now, going to the next tab, we have the operational efficiency. And as you saw in the previous overview, there are a lot of pending work orders, and hence in our internal instances, we can see the various metrics are almost computed as zero, right? So if we see the number of work orders which are reworked, what is the delay, what is the first pass yield, what's the performance ratio, what is the manufacturing effectiveness, it's almost in the low side of the manufacturing process. Now, we also have a visualization which we can see how much is the completion quantity versus how much have we scrapped or how much have we scrapped for a particular or rejected for a particular work order, right, at an overview. So this gives an overview of quantities in terms of completion, rejects, and scraps. We can also analyze the yield by category and by a work area also. So this visualization can change the parameter and it can show you the yield of the particular plant by slicing and dicing based on the work area. So here the default is category, and hence you are seeing the category related information. However, we can also see by work area. Okay. Now coming to the next visualization which we have, this is a combination of the materials and the resources. Now the first half of the dashboard talks about the resources. So you can see here, in this organization, we have used 6 resources. We have charged so much amount of hours. What is the planned resource usage and what has been actually used? So that is something which we are able to see. And we can also see what is the variance in terms of percentage. Now, this variance is very high. So you can see here it's 40%. And again, this variance is also very high, which is again another 40%, which means that you have been using 40% more resources than you're intending to do. And we also have a throughput metric, which is a industry standard metrics in manufacturing analytics. The material analytics, the material usages also we have a planned versus actual. So you can actually see here that the what is being actually required in terms of components and what is the actual usage. That visualization is also available. Now, we also give a couple of metrics related to materials, which is like what are the work orders which are using unplanned materials. So you might have planned for 3 components to be used in a work order, but due to some unavailability, you would have replaced the 3rd component with the 4th component. So that will be counted as a metric. Now, we can also see if an operation material was used, is using a substitute item. So that is something which can also be visible. Now, coming back to detailed report, we have given us a quick report to start with. The users, the customers can customize this as needed, but this gives a quick snapshot of the entire manufacturing in a tabular format, which you can extract and email it across also. So you can see what is the business unit, what is the organization, what is the work order, the status, item, the dates, the various quantities, what is my yield, what is my manufacturing lead time, etc. So you can add all the other metrics like delay, first pass yield, operation number. It can show you at that level too. Okay. So with this, I can conclude my demo, and I'll quickly flash my slide where I can also, whatever demo which I was displaying or showing, we can see all the various metrics, and I highlighted some of the key metrics here. And once after this, I will also go to the roadmap or the next important ones which will come in manufacturing analytics. In the upcoming release, we are going to give a subject area on work order costing, which will complete the costing part of the manufacturing, which includes the resource cost, material cost, output, scrap, and web balances. We will also have a subject area for maintenance analytics, which will include maintenance, work orders, resources, and operation transaction subject area, along with the material subject area. Right now, we are in the design stage for maintenance analytics, which will include the failure analysis. And we have to start designing maintenance costing, resource availability, OEE, and quality management. With this, I conclude my demo and presentation for manufacturing analytics. Over to you, Jimmy.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Karthik. I know it's late for you, so we do really appreciate you giving us that awesome demo. As we wrap up here, I do have a polling question just to get to rate today's meeting, and I'd appreciate it if you could submit that. Also, we're going to wrap up some of the Q&A here. Give me a second to pull that up for whatever is remaining. For some reason, I can't find it right now. Here we go. All right. So one of the questions is for Karthik, does this Canvas or workbook that you just showed, does that come out of the box with Fusion SCM Analytics? Would you mind
Yeah, it
answering
is
that
coming
live?
out of the box. Yeah. That's correct. Yes, I will answer it.
Thanks.
It is out of the box.
Awesome. And we can just answer them live from this point. We don't have to type them up. And then also just a comment in the Q&A, it'd be advantageous if we can leverage Oracle Analytics Cloud as an AI-driven decision-making system. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think with that, we are out of our Q&As. We're also out of time, so we really appreciate all of you joining today. Thank you for joining, and stay tuned for our next session. So until then, see ya. Bye.